Yeah, because the kid was injured. That's the thing.
Right.
He just didn't fall, and he did hit his head, and he got injured. I mean, and you said there's been like similar things.
I mean, I've had where teachers have pushed kids and pushed them down, and it hasn't come out. It's not an accidental. So, I mean, because with this, I mean, you are technically a mandatory report. And yeah, that I'll give you that. So this is a tough one, because if we report it, you're going to get investigated, and I don't want you to get investigated.
Yeah.
Our investigation into teachers' union officials across the country has gotten some interesting results. Union presidents in New Jersey were suspended, and that state's Senate will hold hearings to look into the union's practices. Those union officials were affiliated with the NEA, the nation's largest teachers' union. Today, the story is another NEA official, this time in Michigan. Again, the union official is clearly more interested in protecting teachers than children. The video you're about to see and hear is troubling. Our journalist, who says she is a teacher, tells the union official a story about a bloodied middle school student she shoved. The response? Don't report it and hope the student doesn't either.
I lost it.
Okay.
I honestly did. I don't know what came over me. I've never been that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so angered, and he was close and saying these things, I just pushed him.
Okay.
Meet Nick Nugent, the executive director at the Michigan Education Association in Lathrop Village. Our undercover journalist suggested that she was a teacher and that she had recently shoved a student in class, leaving him bloodied and injured.
When did this happen?
About a week and a half.
Week and a half ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the kid was injured. That's the thing.
Right.
He just didn't fall, and, he did hit his head, and he got injured. Like, I'm pretty sure he scraped it pretty bad, and he hit against, like, the edge of, like, the
like
board. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So has he been back in your class since?
He's been, yeah.
Has he said anything?
No.
So does your principal know anything about this?
No. I'm keeping it on the down low until I figure out what to do.
Okay. I
was waiting for him to come forward. I figured if he came forward, this would all...
Well, it would rear its ugly head is what it would do.
Yes.
So this is a tough one, because if we report it, you're going to get investigated. And I don't want you to get investigated.
Yeah.
That's right. Nugent doesn't want one of his union members to be investigated for abusing a student.
My advice is kind of, I'll be honest with you, is to wait it out.
I know. I just feel like this is terrible. This is like the worst that could happen. It's like
And you could go the rest of this week and get into May, if you will, and then that gives you basically 6 weeks. And maybe take some time off. And did he cut himself or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the longer the time goes on, it will heal. Obviously, okay. He's back in your classroom. I would think he didn't tell his parents.
Yeah, I'd hope the parents knew they'd come in.
The reason why is because if they told his parents, then there would be an investigation.
Yeah.
Or let's say, and I'm just saying worst case scenario here. And I think this is going to happen? No, because I think it would have already reared its head. But in worst case scenario, they would go through an investigation. They would say, okay, we're going to bring you up on tenure charges.
Okay.
And then it's like a court. And typically in that, we do what's called a settlement agreement, where you choose to resign and they will pay out a certain amount of money, because it costs them money to take you to tenure.
Right.
Because while you're off, you would still be getting paid by the district until that happens. So worst case scenario, let's say June comes, and then they say, okay, we're going to put you on administrative leave until a tenure hearing. The soonest they would get a hearing is probably October, November, and they would have to continue to pay your health care until them. So we
it's cheaper to settle.
Correct. And we get a settlement, and then we go from there. But that's a worst case scenario. But typically in something like this, it would have, if it happened, let's say like the 10th, you would have known about it like last week. But it hasn't come out in a week and a half. The longer it goes, I would tend to go that route on this one, because if we open it up, I know for 8 weeks it's going to be real worrisome. But if we go open, they're probably going to put you on admin leave at least.
Okay.
And that, and you get paid during that time. But ultimately, I'm worried that they would take you to teacher tenure.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm worried about with this, especially with pushing the kid and him being injured. That's a no.
Yeah.
Is it technically child abuse? No. You could say.
Is it not? I mean, the kid got very injured, and he had blood, and he was cut. He had a scrape, and maybe a little more than a scrape. Over kids being kids. That's how I feel. I mean, that's how my conscience is.
It is truly up to you. Like I said earlier, if he wouldn't have pushed the kid, it would be completely different. And that's the struggle.
I feel like this is the worst thing a teacher could do to a student. And you said there's been like similar things.
I've had where teachers have pushed kids and pushed them down, and it hasn't come out. I've had it that way. I've had it.
But it's happened like here, like as well.
I'm talking in other school districts.
Nugent is saying he has seen this kind of thing before, and little or nothing is done about it.
I've had it where, like, I had a coach one time, and he's a teacher too. Push a kid and push him down on the ground. It was reported, and then he ended up with a 6-day suspension. No, it's not an accidental. So, because with this, you are technically a mandatory report. And that, I'll give you that.
Our journalist was given this flyer by Nugent. It is abundantly clear about mandatory reporting. Quote, mandated reporters are always required to report suspected abuse. Teachers are mandated reporters, unquote.
And under the law, you are mandated. You knew it happened. You should report it.
Right.
And then that way.
But then I can lose my tenure.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
But that's your decision on what you want to do. I can't make that decision for you. Either way you go, you're supported by your association.
Either way, he says, you're supported by your association, the union. But the flyer is absolutely clear. Quote, a failure to report by a mandated reporter could result in civil and or criminal penalties, unquote. Nugent is suggesting that it is okay to break the mandatory reporting law. In fact, it appears to be part of the union's policy.
If you make that and they do go with a tenure claim, then you're covered under that. We'll negotiate a deal if we can negotiate a deal with the district. So you keep your health care through August or something like that. But that's really your choice on how you want us to proceed.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you what to do, but it's really your choice.
Absolutely. No.
Your choice? How is non-compliance on mandatory reporting laws on child abuse a choice? How can a union that proclaims to value children above all allow a violent teacher to even make such a choice?
Because I didn't know if you maybe wanted to switch districts or something like that.
But that could be done then.
Yes, you can do that now. If you wanted to start putting your feelers out now, you can do that. This incident, obviously nobody knows about this or anything like that. And so what you can do is you can start shopping now if you want. If you want to end up in Berkeley or something like that, you could. Or if you want to end up in Novi or wherever you want to end up, there's going to be jobs available. And with the teacher shortage that we're in, you will probably you'll get interviews. I'm just thinking long term for you is that if you want to put out applications into other places, you can, because right now the district doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
And if they do, and you want to be done, you can just say, I'm leaving Southfield.
How is this a reasonable solution? Having a violent, out-of-control teacher change districts is just moving the problem, not solving it. This story is yet another example of the systemic abuses of power that teachers union officials across the nation are carrying out. They act as if they are above the law and seem to have little or no regard for the students. We wonder, in the manual for union officials, does it say, quote, teachers are always innocent, no matter what crimes they commit, unquote? Stay tuned, because very soon we will release more troubling videos